Alison's in Perth. Alison, what would you like to say?
I would just like to say that 17.4 million people voted to leave, and it's democratic to abide with that decision.
Yes. They didn't vote to be poorer.
Well, a lot of people are poor at the moment.
Yes, but they can still get poorer. They didn't vote for that, did they?
I think a lot of it is supposition coupled with Project Fear.
Right.
I do agree that we should not leave with a no deal. There should be negotiations.
But 17.4 million people voted for that.
No, 17.4 million people voted to leave the European Union.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter whether it's no deal or not, does it? They all voted to leave.
Yes, but I mean...
so they did vote to be poorer.
These people are not stupid, as has been inferred by certain people, that we are stupid. And there's one thing, I don't pride myself on being the brain of Britain, but I'm not a stupid person.
No.
And I have been involved in my working life in negotiations as I was in sales.
Yes.
And I know that when you negotiate, you never ask for something without giving something away. That's what it's about. Yeah. And I have been involved in negotiations where where I was prepared to walk away because I could not deliver what the buyer was asking for. And I said to them, I said, look, I've given you the price. I really can't drop that anymore. And then you walked away. And then you walked away to precisely the status quo that you... On two occasions, these people backed down and agreed with the argument that I put forward. And I got...
What did you sell?
I was selling pest control.
Okay. And you genuinely... And this is going to sound like a patronising question, but I promise you it isn't. You genuinely think that there are parallels to be drawn between selling pest control and negotiating withdrawal from the European Union?
Negotiation. It doesn't matter what the product is.
Of course it matters.
It does matter.
Of course it matters. If you're trying to sell me an antidote for a poison... Well, you can talk, Alison, if you want, or you can listen to me.
It doesn't matter if I was selling cars or chocolate biscuits.
Well, of course it matters.
I had to negotiate.
Yes, but the negotiation is completely different according to what it is that you're selling. If you're selling antidotes to people who've already been poisoned, the negotiation is going to be very different from selling antidotes to people who haven't been poisoned. If you're selling cars to people that don't have cars, things are going to go very, very differently than they would if you were trying to sell cars to people who do have cars. And when you walk away...
James, I listen to you quite frequently, and,
yes.
You seem to have a penchant for tying people in knots.
It's not a penchant, Alison. It's an occupational hazard of ringing in without knowing what you're talking about. So let's go back to when you were selling pest. Let's go back to when you were selling pest control.
Let's put it this way. We're talking about the backstop in Ireland, right? Now, Switzerland is not part of the European Union, yet lorries travel in and out of Switzerland through European Union countries.
Yeah, and they get checked.
Yes, of course you do. Everybody has to get checked. When I travel
abroad, at the moment, when you go from the Republic of Ireland to Northern Ireland, you don't get checked.
Well, I don't know. I've never been to Ireland.
Well, this is what you mean by a penchant for tying people in knots. You phoned in. You've used Switzerland as an example. It's fallen apart. You look ridiculous. I accept you're not stupid, and you feel this is somehow a result of my penchant for tying people in knots, rather than your utter failure to do the most cursory of research. It is funny, isn't it?
I know. I'll tell you what is
But let's crack on. Say something else meaningless.
James, I see it as black and white.
I know you do.
17.4 million voted to leave the European Union.
With no deal.
No, that was not part of the question on the ballot paper.
Well, hang on a minute then. I don't understand what mandate there is for leaving with no deal then.
Well, we've had negotiations with them, which have fallen flat because
no, they haven't. They were successful. We came up with a withdrawal agreement.
In the negotiations.
The negotiations were successful.
They are trying to punish 17.4 million.
They offered us a withdrawal agreement. They offered us a withdrawal agreement.
And the reason that they're trying to block us at every turn is because the gravy train's going to hit the bumpers.
I see. Yes. So what was the withdrawal agreement then?
The withdrawal agreement was, it was that, I didn't like Theresa May's because it would still tie us to the EU.
Yes, but what was it? I mean, because from where I'm sitting, that was the result of quite lengthy negotiations.
Well, it was voted down 3 times by Parliament.
Yes, I know it was, but that's nothing to do with the EU, is it?
And she gave an awful lot more away than what, I mean...
And now I say, for example, and you say...
That we keep Northern Ireland in the EU.
Pardon?
That we keep Northern Ireland within the EU.
Now that penchant for me tying people in knots has kicked in again because you've said something else utterly ridiculous that you could have avoided by doing the most cursory of research. Shall we both giggle again now?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Anyway, I stick by the democratic result. I've had to
17.4 million people voted to leave with no deal, you're claiming.
Sorry?
You're claiming 17.4 million people voted to leave with no deal.
That question was not on the ballot paper.
Well,
what was on
exactly.
The ballot paper? Do you want to stay in the European Union or don't you want to stay?
Yes, it doesn't matter how we leave. No deal is fine.
Well, no deal was a possibility, but...
but that's what 17.4 million people voted for.
That is the last... No, that wasn't on the ballot paper, James. I'm sorry.
That's my point. That's my point, Alison. Nobody voted to leave with no deal. 17.4 million people or 17 people. You got a lot of people that claiming they did. I'm glad, and this is evidence, as you said many times, that you're not stupid. I'm glad that you're not one of them. I guess they can only pull the wool so far down over your eyes. Coming up to 11:45.
In the